Alrighty, we're gonna be reacting to another debate. I think the sound quality will be better this time. I have earbuds so I can record the internal audio instead of the external audio, so hopefully it'll sound better. Anyways, let's get into this.
More of to you. With that, gentlemen, the floor is all yours.
Now, Avery, I want to put it back a little bit. You said that the term Muslim is ambiguous. Yes, it is very ambiguous, especially in the Quran. God says multiple times, all believers, all people of the book, all disbelievers, all associators. So he never says all Muslims because it is an ambiguous verse, ambiguous meaning where it covers many people. You're actually correct in the definition where anyone who is submitting to a monotheistic Lord, because there is only one God. So you want to play around with the words like Father and Allah as if they're not equal, even though you have your definition of what a father is. Let's go with the Lord of the skies and the earth. Rabbus samawati wal ard. There's only one.
We're not even 30 seconds in. We're not even 30 seconds in. Oh my goodness. Okay. If you don't know why I'm freaking out right now, it's in Islam, Allah is not a father. The God of the Quran is not a father. I don't like to use the word Allah because it's just the Arabic word for God, and then they like to twist it and say, oh, but that's just the Arabic word for God that's in your Bible too, in the Arabic translation. So um so the God of the Quran is not a father. Okay, he's not a father at all. So the fact that he said the Father and Allah are equal, oh my goodness, this is gonna be a disaster. Another thing, so you have to be a monotheist. That's what he said. But the question I would ask here is, do you believe the Trinity is monotheistic? Because popular, I was gonna say Muslim scholar as a joke, but popular Muslim troll Alonzo Harris thinks that the Trinity is three gods, so it's polytheism to him. So I would ask, is the Trinity monotheism?
Entity that created the skies and the earth. It created this entity. He created the human. He understands the human. He told the human, do this and don't do that. That is the Lord that we submit to. Now, our perspective and what he can do and what he can't do, this is where we're opening it up for debate. But this Lord that I defined is the Lord of Abraham. And anyone who submits to this Lord of Abraham, and despite what associations they have with it, or they attach to him, or however they're viewing him in a certain perspective, that is changing their theology. But it doesn't change how many gods there is. There's only one. So, yes, you are right. You and David, if you are submitting to the Lord of the skies and the earth, created this world, you by definition is a Muslim. So you
Okay, so here's the problem here. What David Wood and God Logic are trying to prove is that Jesus is not a Muslim in the sense that he didn't submit his will to the God of the Quran. All right, because the God of the Bible is not the same as the God of the Quran. The God of the Bible is triune. The God of the Quran is just one and only one. So there is a difference between the two. Now, I guess technically the word Muslim in Arabic is just supposed to be one who submits to the Creator, but that's not the debate. The debate there is specifically about its modern meaning, because it has a more specific religious meaning today. That's the debate. So when they're going and saying, "Oh, Jesus submitted to God," they're just going off topic and being deceptive.
conceded by the way you define what Muslim is on its ambiguity. You defined what Muslim means, okay? And then you went into a specific on trying to prove.
Yeah, one second, one second. I just wanted to ask for a couple of clarifications because I do want to understand. I do want to understand your point before you move on
Sure.
to another one. But so you're saying that we, in your definition of Muslims as people who submit to God, that we would be, Avery and I would be Muslims Just to clarify, I'm assuming you're going to say yes. But Sunnis, Shias, Sufis, these would all be Muslims in that they are submitting to God, but you would believe they're misguided in certain ways. But they would all be Muslims, right?
They're Muslims, but they're not believers. They have not entered the faith and the belief. They've submitted that there's a God, but they're going to do whatever they want. So there's people that disbelieve there is no God. That's an atheist. That's a person that did not submit this as a criminal. And there's people that understand that God exists, but they want to purposely devout the way outside of the way of God. Those are devils. But then the submitter is there's a God, there's a day of judgment. That's where it stands.
So you would say, so regarding us, would you say that we are Muslims but not believers?
You're a Muslim you're not believers, and you have concepts of shirk. God never refers to you as mushrikun. God refers to you as people who committing disbelief by the association. But he never called you a mushrik. By name, Christians were never called mushrik. But he's saying, hey, when you're saying God is a one of a third, you're committing disbelief. When you're saying that Jesus is the Son of God, you're committing disbelief. But he never...
One of a third, that does not sound like the Trinity. That sounds almost... No, not really like Mormonism, but it sounds like some weird, I don't know, maybe a Gnostic belief that 1 and a third, that's not a great way to describe it, but given the benefit of the doubt.
You are a mushrik, because a mushrik is much bigger than that concept. So yes, everyone in the world has some concepts of shirk in their iman. They're associating things with God, and in return, their life moves away from the clear path a little bit. And and that's because it's not forgiven. So you're gonna eat it either here in the world or the hereafter. Some people are just completely gone.
So what do you think about that, Avery?
I think it's interesting. You're a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. We're all Muslims. So it's a Muslim party here.
But are you ready? Are you ready now?
He said, well, I still want to examine this. I still want to we got to dig deep in this, man. So you said for those who say that Jesus is the Son of God, that they are we're disbelievers for saying that, but we're still Muslims. So my question is according to the verses that you quoted, is Jesus, he's a Muslim, but he's a disbeliever?
Avery, to answer you very quickly.
That's the perfect question right there. Is Jesus a Muslim yet a disbeliever? Because that's essentially what they're trying to prove. They're not trying to say that Jesus wasn't a Muslim in its original sense, because there's a specific meaning it has today. For example, the word gay, it used to mean just happy. So if I were to say in the, I'd say like 1800s, I'm gay, I would just be saying that I'm happy. But if I say that today, people around me would be like, hey, yo, pause. But you get what I'm saying, right? There's words have specific meanings. Sometimes it's used in one sense back then, but then the word suddenly means this today.
Do you submit that God is controlling this world?
No. That doesn't answer my question. That doesn't answer my question.
I am going to answer your question.
So
I'm asking you simply yes or no.
That doesn't answer.
Do you accept that God is controlling this world and there's a day of judgment? Yes or no?
Sure. So can you answer my question?
So now to answer your question,
it sounds like Avery has a question for you too.
No, he said he's about to answer.
I understand the question. Yeah. So there's people that messed up in the religion prior to Jesus. Jesus came to fix the religion. After Jesus, people messed up in the religion. Muhammad came to fix the religion.
That's not what I asked.
After Muhammad, I'm telling you. So when you're claiming that Jesus said that he is the begotten Son of God, that is not something that Jesus would say.
I didn't. Okay, so let's pause here for a second. I'm talking about the verses you quoted to prove to us in our Bible that Jesus is a Muslim. So I'm not talking about what you think is corrupted. I'm talking the parts that you quoted as if they're not corrupted. So
and you're talking to Shaiba. I quoted only two verses, 530 and 22:21.
Exactly, and you said out of your mouth, I heard you, it's recorded, in your verses you read that Jesus submits his will to the Father as he hears, he judges, and he submits his will to the Father. So Jesus in John 5:30, in John chapter 5 says he's the Son of God and he submits to his Father. I'm going to ask again. So according to the verses you quoted, is Jesus a Muslim but a disbeliever?
5:30, Jesus has said he submitted his will. People saying that he's the begotten Son of God, that is something that Jesus did not say.
No. Let me clarify this, Avery, because I think he's missing the point. So he's not saying what you believe or what Islam teaches. Avery is asking, since you quoted John chapter 5 verse 30, and that's where Jesus says that everything that the Father does, he does, and that you have to honor the Son the same way you honor the Father. Avery is asking, is Jesus in this passage, even if you believe it's corrupt, but is he in this passage a Muslim but not a believer? Because he's saying that he's the Son and you have to honor him the same way.
But Dave, Mohammed, wait, Dave, the John chapter 5 verse 30 doesn't say what you just said. That's not the verse we used. So what point are you making from that?
Okay, so
Wait. The point he's making is that the context proves that he's not claiming to be a Muslim here.
Didn't Muhammad say he brought up John 5:30?
Yeah. No, I brought John 5:30.
No, both of you did. Both
of you did.
But it doesn't say anything about.
But it doesn't say what you are saying. It doesn't say what you, David, is saying.
Yeah, we're talking about the rest of the passage. Let me just give a breakdown of what's actually going on in that passage.
I promise. I understand what you're saying, but let me answer very quickly.
You're not answering.
We do not subscribe that the gospel is 100% truth. So we're
not saying that. We're asking about according to the passage.
1 minute, David. We're quoting the things that are aligning with the truth, and the things that are not aligning with the truth, we are here to help you correct it with the criterion.
So circular reasoning. The Quran is true. This part of the Bible agrees with the Quran. The Quran is true. You're assuming that the Quran is valid truth, the revealed word of God, and not the Bible. So when you go to parts of the Bible that seem to agree with it, oh yeah, that's true. But then when the context disproves you say, oh, no, that's corrupted. Yeah, okay, all right, buddy.
Which is the Quran. So
that's why we're saying, we're not saying, we know you believe that Jesus said other things. We're saying, according to this passage, would the person who is saying these things, saying that he does whatever the Father does, someone who says that he's the one who raises the dead at the resurrection, someone who says that that you have to honor him the same way you honor the Father, where he says that he is the final judge of all mankind, would a person who said these things in this passage be a Muslim but not a believer?
2 points. One, that I'll bring you back to an earlier debate where we had, where I told you Jesus can speak in the first person. And then the other thing is, just like how you're saying there's ambiguity with how the Son is defined.
Yes or no?
Define 1 second. The Jews define the Son in a different way than you defined the Son. David was a son of God. There's Benu Elohim, the sons of God. There's many sons of God in the Bible. So when you're taking it as a begotten son, that's when you went off course. But it doesn't necessarily say that Jesus was saying, I am the begotten son. My father had a certain relationship with my mother, and here I come without a father. That's where it's the problem.
Exactly.
Dude.
Okay, let's go to a specific verse in John 5 that I want to look at, because I want to just go over this, and I know like they have to respond too, but I want to make my own analysis of this, because I think there's something wrong that he says, and I want to show you. All right, so in what way is Jesus the Son of God? Let's go to verse 18 in John 5. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, alakai patera idion elegen tontheon ison heauton poion to theo. Alakai, but also patera idion elegen tontheon, Father his own. What is this again? Oh, said. That's right. Father his own. He said God. He called God his own father. That's what it means in the Greek there. Heauton poion to theo. Himself equal to God. So this is a special sense in which Jesus is saying he's the Son of God, because if God is his Father, that means he is equal to God. See that? All right, let's get back to the debate.
Exactly.
Dude, it's very simple, man. We didn't ask you all of that. We don't need the fluff. Seriously, answer the question.
Yeah, but by your
Like, this is
question,
ridiculous.
some questions
Excuse
can
me.
be
I'm sorry.
inappropriate.
I'm sorry. Like I can't do this, dude.
Uh-huh.
Do what?
It's very
Do what?
simple. What David asked you and what I asked you. It's super simple.
Well,
According
do
to
you
the
take
text,
the gospel 100% or just a little
excuse me.
bit? That's what you're saying.
It's very simple. Please, it's very, very simple. Is this person who's claiming to be the son of the Father, who can do whatever the Father does, and is honored the same way the Father is honored, who raises the dead and judges at the day of judgment, is that person a Muslim but not a believer? Yes or no?
He's not a Muslim.
Thank you.
Whoa,
Beautiful.
Jesus
Whoa.
in.
I'm overreacting, but oh my goodness, that was sudden. All right. Where are we? Whoa, I'm on the wrong passage. He's not a Muslim, so we just read verse 18 is just a clear verse there. They wanted to kill Jesus because he's making himself equal to God. All right, he is not a Muslim if he says these things. Good, we got somewhere.
So Jesus in John chapter 5 is not a Muslim, but you quote John chapter
It is.
5 to show that Jesus is a Muslim.
Just one thing. You really can't just take one verse out and ignore the rest, because that's how you get to that point. So Jesus is starting to talk in verse 19, and then throughout the chapter, he speaks. So the only way you get to verse 30 is if you look at the previous context. That it just seems absurd to say, well, all this he said leading up to this verse, that didn't actually happen. But this, he said, that just seems absurd.
Understand the context. Don't wait, one moment. Don't twist the issues here.
Don't twist it, David.
We're not the
Look at Avery dancing. It's kind of funny. All right, anyway.
one
Yeah.
twisted.
No.
Don't you
Avery,
twist
wait.
it.
No, don't interrupt.
I'll
Don't
try
interrupt,
not
please.
to.
Please.
Gentlemen, all right, we're
Every-
going to go with Shuaib for about 1 minute, then we'll go back. Go ahead, Shuaib.
Avery, you are playing the semantics here. Look, Matthew chapter 24, verse 36.
Oh my
It tells you
gosh.
clearly, Jesus says nobody knows the day of judgment, right?
Oh my
Now,
goodness.
if you are trying to twist issues and base it on an issue to ask Muhammad a question by trying to put him in one corner with a contradictive question, that is nonsensical. What I'm trying to let you know right now is if you go to John chapter 20, verse 17, Jesus says, I ascend to my...
Just one thing on that Matthew 24. I think we've been over this.
Okay, now, so when he said that he does not know the day and an hour of his coming, that would that make him omniscient or knows all things?
No more than his glory was in full display or anything else. There was a limiting of the second person in the incarnation.
So that
Yeah. In the James White and Joe Ventilation debate, I think we've been over this. Because of the incarnation, there is a limiting of the second person of the Trinity. He has to learn how to walk, how to eat, because he's not just God, he's also man. All right? So, don't go to verses that just talk about Jesus' manhood and say, you see, how could Jesus be God if he had this characteristic of a man? I don't know. I feel like I'm copying David Wood doing that, but anyway.
Father, your Father, and to my God, your God. But if we understand and we quote certain passages where he's mentioned the Father, doesn't actually denote that he's the begotten Son. But you are trying to put it in a nutshell by questioning Muhammad that, oh, if Jesus claims he is the Son and he is this, does that make him a Muslim or a believer? But that is a nonsensical type of question to ask. Look, based on chapter 5, John chapter 5, verse 30, the passage we quoted, if you have to base it on exactly the context we quoted, it says, I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge. So it means he's doing the will.
What? The context you quoted is ignoring the whole context. That's like me going to the Quran and taking a verse where Allah says we, referring to himself, and ignoring the Muslim answer. I think the Muslim answer is that he's doing like a plurality of respect, which I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know Arabic, so I really can't fact check that. But that's like me ignoring any context of that and just saying he says clearly there that he's we, so there's multiple. That is not context. That's just ignoring context.
Of the Father. This is what we quoted as a reference.
Beautiful.
We'll take it over
5
to-
seconds.
We'll kick it. Oh, hold on. I just want to keep going back and forth between teams. So I'll have you go right after Avery. Avery, 60 seconds.
Okay. Within the 60 seconds, please, Shoaib, is Allah a father? Yes or no?
He's not a father.
Thank you. So if someone is claiming that Allah is their father, then they're not a Muslim, correct?
You have to understand the perspective on how he's using the word father.
It doesn't matter.
Father, is it biological? Wait. Clarify the point first.
Okay,
biological father,
Is very easy.
spiritual father.
No, please. Let me just ask it. Is Allah the father in any sense?
No.
Figuratively,
No.
allegorically, any sense?
No, he's not.
No.
He's not.
Thank you.
Okay,
So it doesn't
Shoaib, I have
matter
a question. Shoaib, I have a question.
Wait, please.
Is
wait,
the person that is
wait,
defined in the
guys,
Quran?
But if
guys,
it was
relax.
60 seconds, I do want to give a chance to Avery to finish, and then we'll
Yes.
go right over to you, Muhammad.
All right, thank you. So look, both of you just said that Allah is not a father in any sense. So it doesn't matter in what sense Jesus claims to be the son, whether it's begotten, whether it's allegorical, in any sense, if you claim to be the son of Allah, you're not a Muslim. I'll land my point there because I'll let you guys, you do your thing. But you guys just cooked yourselves, man.
Shoaib, no, we didn't. This is how
Cooked.
retarded you sound.
We are good chefs.
Shoaib,
We don't cook
brother,
ourselves.
Shoaib, is the person that's mentioned in John in its entirety, was that Jesus speaking? Yes or no? Was the person in the whole thing, just like how the prophet in the hadith, is that Muhammad? Absolutely. Is the person that's quoted completely in John, the one that they're quoting, was that Jesus in his entirety? Yes or no? Shoaib, yes or no?
Oh, it's Shoaib. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Shoaib, is that person Jesus or no?
No, he's not. And
Hey, ooh, we win!
not.
Wow, we got
well,
it.
of course, they know that. They know that. They are trying
That's
to
how
please
stupid you sound,
No,
Avery.
no.
The person that is completely in the John that you're quoting, that is not Jesus completely speaking. And this is what you're doing earlier.
Bro, even James is like, oh man, this is a bad argument. What is he even saying? I feel like I need to take a break, but I'm gonna continue. Look at Avery, bro. I don't know why I do these things.
Oh, so the person that's in Sahih Muslim, is that not the prophet then? If I said no, oh, we won.
Exactly.
We won, because you're dumb. The person that is saying that he's the son of a God, or that he is equal with the Father, that is nothing from Jesus. And we're here to tell you that if you have submitted to the Lord of the world, the skies and the earth, you are saying complete blasphemy to put someone as weak as a human, as an equal to who created you and who can destroy you, who saved Jesus from the cross. You understand that? Jesus couldn't save himself.
Yeah, so here's the points we're trying to make. So in response to our discussion of John 5:30, Shoaib pointed out, he went to John 20, where Jesus says, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. So notice, even the verse itself, you guys both agreed would not be Islamic, and yet you're quoting it to defend your point that Jesus was a Muslim. But it's even crazier if you keep reading. No. Yes, I'll read whatever I want. In verse 22, same passage, a couple verses later, it says Jesus breathed on them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness. That ties in with the last debate. But then just a few verses after that, a week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came in and stood among them and said, peace be with you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it.
Aha! David, you see? That's peace be upon you. That's in the Quran. I'm done being a clown.
To my side, stop doubting,
For now.
Shoaib and Muhammad, and believe. Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. Then Jesus said to him, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Our point is that you keep quoting passages to show that Jesus is a Muslim. And if you simply keep reading, there's no way he's a Muslim. So you're saying, but the one verse that we agree with, that's the real Jesus. But the rest of it, which completely contradicts Islam, no, that's all just made up. That's not Jesus.
Right,
Notice passage
we
after
pushed-
passage after passage you quote, and
Aaron.
literally all you have to do is read before it or after it, and it shows that Jesus can't
David,
possibly be
you're
a Muslim
ridiculous.
according to
We'll go
you.
over
How many times in the Bible have you put the prophets in a light that is not true? So Aaron said that he built a
Different
cow
topic. Notice
for
changing
people-
the topic.
No, I'm not changing
Building
the
a
topic.
cow.
I'm showing you the
Aaron building a cow, everyone.
Yeah. No,
No,
he built a cow
Dave,
for
let
people
him
to be
finish.
mushriks, and then Solomon worshipped women, and he also worshipped fake deities. So it's not very hard for these authors like Paul the Apostate, Saul the Apostate, that he wants to.
He's a
quote
Muslim.
earlier
He's
that
a Muslim. Keep in
Hold
mind.
on.
Apparently,
Just-
no, because in your own book it says that if you kill an innocent soul, like you killed the whole world. How many innocent
No, it
souls did he
doesn't.
kill? Oh, and then all
No,
of
it
a sudden
doesn't.
he's a messenger.
It
That's
doesn't
when
say
you
that.
get
Sorry.
deluded.
That's
Oh,
in
yeah,
the Talmud. The Quran gets that from the Talmud.
That's the
not
Talmud.
Bible.
That's one of the problems from the last debate that Muhammad didn't know what he was quoting.
But guys,
So you don't agree with that.
your book of authority.
I don't know what he was making the point. Oh, you guys insult prophets. No, we don't. We just believe that they're men and that they're also fallen, just like me and you. All right. There was something about the prophet Daniel. He had to get the prophecy, but he was not perfect. He was like it does describe him as righteous because he was very obedient to God, but even he was not perfect. Even he sinned. All have fallen short of the glory of God. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. There's no one good, not one.
Your book,
All right,
your
here we
book
go.
of authority. You've taken verses and other books out of your books.
We're only
And-
quoting
look,
what you said.
look,
You said it. You say, here's the chapter. We
let's
go
hear
with it.
from Shuai.
Wait. You are taking our words out of context. Like I keep saying,
That's
it's
ironic,
a game of
David.
semantics.
How ironic.
We're taking them out of
ironic?
context, Avery.
Oh, so you are doing the same thing, huh? Okay. So the
So
point is,
we're only
No.
doing what you do to Jesus. That's all.
okay, you let me speak.
Yeah,
up.
they're giving verses, and we're
It's
quoting
okay,
the
let me speak
context.
up.
Let's hear from.
Let me
Okay,
speak,
let's
let me
give
speak.
full 60
You're right,
seconds to Shuai.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So what we are doing is when we quote passages from your book, we are quoting passages and showing you if we have to use logic to understand the concept you have in your book. By that logic, this is how it falls in the criteria of being a Muslim, a submitter to God. But you are taking all the chunks you have, which some verses in your book are interpolated. They are not from God, neither are they from Jesus. They are people's opinions. You are trying to add up to make a point. We are not using people's opinions in your book. We are quoting passages where Jesus is making references about who God is or what he is here to do. But then you just quote verses out of context and say, we are making claims from the same book. Then what is the idea of the debate?
Okay. Let's go back to John 5. Let's look at the context of John 5. Oh, a man whoops, hold on. Let me make sure I'm in shot here. A man healed at the pool of Bethsaida. The Jews are there ready to kill him because he's breaking the Sabbath, doing healing on the Sabbath. Then Jesus answers them, "My Father has been working until now, and I have been working." Therefore, the Jews wanted to kill him because he's not only broken the Sabbath, but he said that God was his Father, making himself equal to God. Remember, we read the Greek too. Then Jesus answered and said to them, "Most assuredly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself." Watch this. "But what he sees the Father do, for whatever he does, the Son does in a like manner." This is Jesus' words right here. Because it specifically says, this is what Jesus answered. So Jesus says, what the Father does, I do also. That's what it means in verse 30. That's the context. Now, what kind of a man can say, I do what God does? Can a man say that and that be true? Can I say I do whatever the God of the Quran does, even though I'm arguing for Christianity here? Even though I'm committing shirk? I think that's what it is. I honestly don't know. And you see that? if you're gonna say, oh, if you're gonna talk about context, you should be reading in context too, because that's the actual context of John 5. This isn't Christians taking it out of context. You are the one who's taking it out of context.
The idea of the debate is to go inside your book to make sense out of a passage where we can actually have it in the context of our own books to prove to the people. That's what we are doing. So it's not as if we believe in the entirety of your book. No.
Can I say something here, David? Shoaib, notice how my man and Muhammad, this is for you too, for both of you guys. Notice how we never quoted a single passage or talked about a single passage that you didn't quote yourself. We're only using the context of the passage that you use. That's it. So it's
no,
if you
not
want,
true,
if you're
not
trying
true.
to say, sorry, if you're trying to say that we're
I don't have perfect memory of everything that went by before, because so many crazy things happened in this debate already. But I'm pretty sure that it's true that they remained in John 5 and in John 20.
We're taking your words out of context, bro.
Dave said I quoted. He said
like you might as well just not say anything. How about this? Don't quote the Bible anymore. Just give up on the Bible. Just admit that according to the Bible, Jesus is not a Muslim, and try to use something else to prove it. Because you can't. According to the Bible and the passages you guys go to, you've already admitted Allah's not a father. A Muslim can't call Allah a father and be a Muslim. Jesus says that he's the son of God, and so therefore he can't be a Muslim. According to the passages y'all quote. So stop quoting the Bible. Try to use something else to prove that he's a Muslim.
I think you need to understand something. We're quoting a certain verse, and you go, "Oh, well, carry on with the other bullshit
exactly,
that people wrote."
Exactly.
That's the problem. We're not talking about the other nonsense. Now, here's the thing. God logic, Mr. Avery. So can you please now?
Okay. We're gonna go back. Verse 19. Most assuredly, this is Jesus speaking. All right, this is not a author's comments. This is Jesus. Most assuredly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do, for whatever he does, the Son does in the like manner. Okay? That's Jesus' words. He does whatever God does. What man can do that? What man can say that?
Tell me that David is the son of God, because if you go to Psalm 2:7, Psalm 2:7, he goes, "I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, David, you are my son. Today I have become your father." So is David the son of God?
David is a son of God, which proves that he's not a Muslim.
So it's not a trinity.
So now watch
not
this,
a trinity.
But hold on.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it at all. But the audience gets it. Let me show you, Muhammad, how silly you're.
Okay, so here's the thing. You know, I try to, when I make my videos, I try to like not make myself to seem to be this super smart person, because I know there's things I have to learn. So if I'm talking about a certain thing, I'll say, you know, maybe that's the case, maybe that's wrong. You know, I'll try to, you know, be as careful as I can with my words, not being arrogant and saying, "Oh, I'm absolutely right on this," because, you know, maybe I am wrong on things. It's absolutely possible. I'm not God. I'm only a man. I'm only human. I can get things wrong all the time. I'm fallible. But so you see, a fool. A fool thinks he got it right. A fool can read one verse in the Bible, ignore the entirety of the context, ignore the fact that when a word is used, it doesn't always mean the same thing. All right, there's a difference between the word minute and minute. They're not even the same. One's a noun. Wait, no. One's an adjective. One's a noun. A fool thinks he has it all figured out. But then when a wise person discourses with him, he exposes his foolishness. So what we're about to see, most likely, is either David Wood or God Logic are about to expose why Muhammad has pride right now and his fall is about to come.
Procedure is here. So you
David's
only
the
want
son
to
of
stick
God.
to specific. Wait, please. You only want to stick.
Yes or no? Is David a son of
Bro,
God?
relax.
Oh my
please.
goodness.
Relax.
Say it.
We let
Yes or
you
no?
talk.
Yeah, we let you
Well,
talk.
I just
bro.
want. It's
You
a simple
only-
yes
you
or
Oh
no.
only
my
wanna stick
goodness.
to-
He's going to let him break it down.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Is
very
it
simple.
yes or no? Is David a son of God?
Dude, seriously.
David is a son of God. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you
which
for your
means he's
answer.
not a-
And
which-
we're about to clarify things for you.
Yes.
And they're all contradicting Islam.
All of them.
Go
all
ahead.
of them.
Go ahead, Avery.
So look, so David
Actually, you're about to contradict
is a
yourself.
son of God.
No, we're not.
David is a son of God, which means David is not a Muslim. That's in the Psalms that your Quran says that is from God, that he wrote himself.
Oh my
Chapter 21,
goodness.
verse 105 of the Quran.
Okay, hold on. Let me be careful here, because that's not the debate topic, but that is a good point. That's not a debate-ending statement, but that is a really good point. If the Quran says the Psalms are from Allah, and then they say David is the son of God, then that's a really good point.
Allah says in the Quran that he's the one who wrote the Psalms for David. So Allah is the one writing that David is his son. Astaghfirullah. Look, we're going with your
Exactly.
Well, no, wait. You are misquoting the Quran,
please,
bro.
I want to get to my
Misquotation.
point. I want to get to my point. So your whole procedure is, let's forget all the surrounding verses, only stick to the verses that we mentioned, Avery and David. Okay, let's do that. You quoted John 5:30. It simply says this, ladies and gentlemen: I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. Period. Muhammad, who's speaking here?
This is Jesus.
How do you know that?
Speaking.
How do you
It's
know?
the submitter.
Show
That's
me in
submitter.
the verse where it says Jesus is speaking.
This is not a gospel about Jesus.
Well, wait, show me where it's about gospel about Jesus.
Is this a gospel about Jesus?
Okay, it's a gospel of Jesus. So then, verse 18, that's Jesus speaking. Therefore, the Jews sought to all the more to kill him, because he's not only broke the Sabbath, but also said that God was his father, making himself equal to God. The point Avery's making here is, if you don't want to go to other verses, all right, how do you know that Jesus is speaking there? You're supposed to go to other verses to figure out the context. That's just how it works. That's the way it works in the Quran. If I'm reading the Quran, I have to read it in context. I have to understand what's happening in verse 1 before I get to, I don't know, there's some of them have like 100 verses. If I understand what happened in verse 1 and I keep exegeting it, I can understand what's happening in verse 100 accurately. And I can't just take it out of context and say, make a point that is a terrible point, and then I get exposed for being a fool. Because I'm very confident in my foolishness, and my pride is taking over me. And then when an intelligent Muslim would expose me, that would be my fall. This is exactly what is happening to Muhammad here, not the prophet, the debater here. He's acting like a fool, but being prideful in it. And now, here's his fall.
Avery is pointing. Avery is pointing out that this is a passage. This is a passage. You're going to the last verse of a passage. How do you know that verse is even Jesus? Because of the passage, but the passage completely contradicts Muhammad and the Quran.
David, because you have your whole document. Some of it is from Jesus, and some of it is bullshit. So we have yes. The thing
If you can't,
it's very simple.
If you're saying verse 21 through 29 are not from Jesus, how do you know the next one is from Jesus?
Because I have a criterion, which is on his desk right there. I compare it to what the Quran says, and the Quran supersedes the lies. Now,
okay, so circular reasoning. That's what he's saying. I assume that my Quran is the truth. Therefore, I reject anything the Bible says. Only agree with the parts that agree with mine, which, that's very silly, because when you get to hold on, I'm in the wrong chapter again. When you're reading those verses and just picking parts of it, how do you know, first of all, if that's Jesus speaking, if you're just going to reject the rest? How do you know that? It doesn't say who's speaking. And then once you accept, all right, that's Jesus speaking, You can read verse 19. Whatever the Father does, I do likewise.
You say that David is the son of God, so David is also the first and last. And then
son of
Abraham
God.
also submitted. And then so Abraham
Equivocation fallacy.
also submitted to David, and that David. I don't need your explanation.
Don't
If
let
you're
him-
going
Yeah,
by
you-
yes, you
consistency with
do.
the son
You
of-
Wait. What? Wait. Okay. So, I'm making my argument against the Quran. Premise 1. If Muhammad was if Muhammad was a perfect example for all mankind, then he wouldn't have married a child and consummated the marriage. Premise 2. Wait, hold on. Is that even a valid form? All right. Let's forget about making an argument. I'm not gonna make it into a premise because I'm gonna probably do an invalid form. So I'm gonna just say it like this. According to the Quran, I forget if it's Hadith or Quran, but Muhammad is the perfect example for all of mankind, perfect moral example. However, he married a child and consummated the marriage when she was 9, according to Hadiths, the sources for Islam. That would mean that the Quran is wrong in saying that Muhammad is the perfect example for all of mankind. Now, I don't care about his explanation. I don't want his explanation, because I don't care. I'm sticking with my argument, and that's that. You see how foolish that sounds? I really don't want to be condescending here, but this Muhammad guy, he's a fool. That's the nicest I can put it. He's a fool, full of pride. And I was going to say that his fall is coming, but he's pretty much fallen already. He's already fallen. It's over. The debate is over at this point. But we're going to keep watching because, this is entertaining.
Absolutely do, because you have no clue what you're talking about right now, and I can clarify it for you. You can walk away more knowledgeable than when you walked into this discussion.
No,
I can break it down. Just let me break it down. I'll break it down. If I can't break it down, then you can say, you're an idiot.
You are an idiot. So the thing.
Well, your prophet's a child molesting, murdering rapist. If we're going to start name calling,
I didn't talk about.
You called names.
Doesn't matter.
All right, fine. You know what?
We're name calling.
I apologize.
I
apologize.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. That's
All right,
we're good. We're good. We're
Take
good.
it back.
No, we're good. We agreed. We agreed, James. We've settled the issue.
Okay. So here's the thing. So if you're going to define what a son is by what Jesus said what a son is, and then the word son is used by David, then we have to go by the same understanding. You can't come here and give me mental gymnastics how it's different.
Okay.
It's true. And can you please take the words back you said about my prophet? Because I didn't insult any of your prophets.
No, ain't none of that. So
Avery, it's not about you, man.
Let him take the words back first.
I took my words back. I apologize for David for calling him an idiot. That was out of line,
He has to
anger, and I'm
apologize
sorry.
because that's
David,
not
can you please take your words back? I'm not asking you to apologize. Just take the words back that you said.
Yeah. So I was only reacting to name calling. So
Yes.
if we're agreeing we're not doing that, yes, I take it back.
Thank
All
you.
right. So please, I want to touch on.
Just take note here. Stepping away from the whole theological debate for a second, this is like a good example. Which you could argue that it was sinful for David to react in that way. This is a good example. Repent. And also forgive. Even though Muhammad is acting like a fool here and he's being very prideful, if you sin because of him, and if he sins against you, repent of your sin and forgive him. That's an excellent example right there. I'm not saying that David Wood is now a perfect example for all of mankind. Don't look to Jesus as your example. All right, because David Wood is trying to imitate Jesus. That's all. Don't try to imitate a man.
Because you completely ran away from the point. So you said to forget everything in the passages. You literally called it all that other nonsense. So we're only going to stick to the passages you quote. You said that you use your Quran as a criterion. So where in your Quran does it say that John 5:30 is Jesus speaking?
Based on your question doesn't mean we should give you direct answer based on the way you are questioning. You say where in the Quran does it say John 5:30? That is nonsensical.
Okay. So look,
It is.
you know what, Shoaib?
Because...
I agree with that. Do you want to know why it's nonsensical? Because the claim was nonsensical. When asked who is speaking here, and he says, well, we believe Jesus is speaking here because the Quran is the criterion. Okay, show me where the Quran tells you that this is Jesus speaking. You can't do it because it's not.
Okay, every help us out.
Let me land.
Every help us out. Who is speaking there?
Let me land, please. Let me land. So I'm going.
Jesus is speaking there because I can read the context and you can't.
Only with Muhammad's criteria of hermeneutics, of exegesis. I'm going with Muhammad. So he said, get rid of all the other verses, only focus on the passages that we quoted. So he quoted only John 5:30, which he said. So tell me again, who is the one speaking who says, as I do nothing of my own, as I hear, I judge? Who is speaking?
God Logic, I think you are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Is that when I am taking a document and I'm reading the document in its entirety, whether it's theology or outside of theology, even if it's the American Constitution.
Okay. I don't even understand. I think the Muslims have just it's over already. At this point, it's over. I don't understand what their position is anymore, because at one point Muhammad is saying, "Oh no, I don't care about all the other nonsense. I only care about verse 30." But now he's saying reading documents in its entirety. What? Which one is it? If you're going to read the document in its entirety, it refers to Jesus as God. And in fact, verse 30 is explained by verse 19, because verse 19 is saying, it's not saying that, oh, Jesus is incapable of doing anything. He needs God's help. It's saying that he does whatever the Father does, because he's God. But you see, they don't want to go there. They only want to stick to verse 30, have their assumption that the Quran is the only word of God, and then take verses that they agree with and then ignore the rest. It is nonsensical. I agree, that is nonsensical. That is the weirdest system of knowing I think the term is epistemology. I'm not a philosopher, but I think that's the term here. This is the weirdest epistemology I've ever seen. Someone correct me if I'm using that word incorrectly. But I think that's the correct way to use it. That is a weird epistemology.
I brought it back to my criterion, which is the Quran. So that means if the verses that are applying with the Quran,
okay. Let's stop. For now, maybe we might even stop this whole debate right here. But or stop watching it. But the Quran is their criterion. Okay, so here's the issue. Me, because I believe in Torah Scriptura, I can say that verse 19 to 29 are also Jesus speaking. Now, Muhammad here and Shoaib, they don't believe that, because it contradicts their Quran. But now when you remove that, now all you have is verse 30. I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of the Father who sent me. How do you know that that's Jesus speaking? What if it's one of the Pharisees? What if it's one of the disciples? How can you show that it's Jesus? Because the only way you know that it's Jesus speaking is by going down to verse 19. But since you're going to reject all those verses, all right, how do you know that's Jesus speaking? This doesn't work. They're trying to make this unfalsifiable thing to prove their point, but it just backfires.
Substitute that, and I will accept from it. And the things that do not align with the Quran, I will overlook them. So the verse already clarifies, or the passage gives us some context that Jesus is speaking and what it's about. The things that are pertaining to what a Muslim is, the definition of a Muslim, I use that to show you that Jesus himself described what a Muslim is. And then you went to talk about how he committed shirk, and so therefore he cannot be a Muslim. But that's not the point that I'm addressing, because I don't believe that he said that.
I know. So I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let David take the next point, because this is important.
Yeah, I basically, I want to let you finish, and then he can respond. But I wanted to actually explain, because this is a common point other people in the Bible are called sons of God. So how do we reconcile that with our claim that Jesus? I just want to clarify what we view for Muhammad and Shuaib. If they want to reject it, they can reject it. But I want to at least clarify.
That clearly shows how contradictory.
I'm about to, guys.
No,
guys,
yeah, go ahead,
it was
Avery.
on me. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna break this down. I see that maybe Shuaib's first language isn't English, maybe it's Arabic. So I'll break this down in simple terms. Sometimes words have different meanings in different contexts. So I can say the word verse, and I'm referring to a biblical verse. But sometimes verse also applies to plays, a verse in a play or a verse in a poem. It's used differently. The word gay, today it means being homosexual. But back then, it meant happy. So if I'm writing a story about Muhammad and I say Muhammad is gay, you would have to look at the context to see if I'm insulting Muhammad or if I'm just saying he was happy. Now, if I were writing a book about just insulting Muhammad, insulting Muslims, stuff like that, I think it's safe to assume that I would be saying that Muhammad is homosexual. But if the context is just me describing Muhammad, maybe when he got first married or something, maybe when he realized he was a prophet, I would be talking about Muhammad being happy. So, when we're reading this verse, John 5:30, I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of the Father who sent me. Now, to understand what that means, I look at the context. Verse 19. But what he sees the Father do. Oh, let me start from the beginning. Then Jesus answered and said to them, see? That says that Jesus is speaking. I can identify that Jesus is speaking because I believe in all the Bible. You only believe in the parts that agree with the Quran, so you throw away verse 19 to 29. But then you can't prove that Jesus is speaking in verse 30. Now watch this. Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing. So, first of all, he's calling himself the Son. Can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. But what he sees the Father do. Excuse me, I said that in a weird tone of voice. That doesn't, you got to read when you're reading. You have to have the correct tone of voice because there's a semicolon here. So I have to say whatever the Father, but what he sees the Father do, not whatever the Father do. That doesn't. You gotta read it with a correct tone. But anyway, for whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. The Muslims here are trapped. They are trapped, surrounded in the tightest corner maybe anyone's ever been trapped in. You have this weird standard that you try to somehow answer this objection that, well, Jesus, the context. But then that just makes it worse for you because now you have no idea what verse 30 is even going to mean. How do you know that's Jesus speaking? What does that verse mean? How can we look to other contexts to see what it means? See, I really love looking at the original language to understand what verses mean. But at the end of the day, if I don't know what the previous verse is about and it's connected to the next verse, I'm clueless.
So this is important. What we just noticed is that now all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, we're allowed to use the context to find out who the person that's speaking. So we see from the context that Jesus is speaking. Thanks a lot. So now, according to Muhammad, we can use the context, but then use the Quran. Whatever disagrees with the Quran, falsehood, what agrees with it, that's good. But according to the context, who in the world is Jesus saying that he submits his will to? The Father. Who is he saying that he hears from? The Father, according to the context. So even John 5:30 proves that Jesus was not a Muslim based on the context. So you shouldn't quote it since the Quran is the criterion, John 5:30 should be out. That's my only point. You just helped me with that.
Yeah, but necessarily using the word father in John 5:30, as you keep saying, I even quoted John 20:17 to show you where he says, "My father, your father, and my God, your God."
Keep reading.
What?
I keep reading. I already pointed out the same passage identifies Jesus as Lord and God.
No, it doesn't.
Guys, I think you guys are missing the point.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it does. I already
because
quoted
the Jesus you are claiming doesn't even know the day of judgment. How can he be God?
You're quoting John 20.
Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and explain Matthew 24:36. But on that day, no one knows the day or hour, nor the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. How can Jesus be God if he doesn't know the day or hour? Here's the answer. The incarnation. Now see, I believe in all the Bible. I believe that the incarnation happened, and I'll show you in the Bible in a second. So I'm going to show you that I'm not just answering with mental gymnastics. I'm actually believing the Bible. I'm believing my own standard here. Since the incarnation happened, there was a willing limiting of the second person of the Trinity. Since God the Son became a man, he humbled himself. That's in Philippians 2, but we're not going to go there. We're going to go to John 1. Philippians 2 says that Jesus humbled himself. The Son humbled himself. Becoming a man, he had to relearn things. Or not relearn things, I'm sorry. He had to learn things he went through the process of being a child. So there are things that Jesus doesn't know. Now, there's an analogy that I heard that was a pretty good analogy. Now, imagine I don't have a blindfold with me here. In fact, I have something here that's helping me see better. I have glasses on. But let's imagine I'm not completely blind. I can see, I can read close up. But let's say, what side over there? Something. What can I use as an example? All right, so over there's a bench press spot. That's where I can do exercise. I can do bench press. Get bigger. So I can see that with these glasses. But if I willingly take them off, I can still see it, but it's blurry. I can still identify it as one. But if there was some wording, I wouldn't be able to see it from here. I need to put on my glasses, and then I can see. So I have this, and I willingly took off my glasses, and some of my vision. Now, the better analogy is with a blindfold. I'm willingly veiling my vision. Willingly. I still have it. It's just veiled. Jesus veiled his divine attributes. He still had them. He just wasn't exercising them. So he didn't know the day or hour because he veiled that. Now, in regards to incarnation, is it even biblical, or am I just making it up to answer this? I'm not making it up. I'll prove it to you in John 1. Reading the Greek from memory. I know maybe these guys think Christians are idiots. Here's my memory here. The Greek. En arche en hologos, kai hologos en prostontheon, kai theos en hologos. In the beginning was the Word. The Word is eternal. All right. In the beginning. He was in the beginning. And the Word was with God. There's a distinction here because he's prostontheon. He's with God. The Word was with God. Yet, the next phrase, or the next clause, kai theos ein halagos. And God was the Word. Now, there's going to be an objection here. I don't know if they know this objection. I don't even know if they know any Greek at all. But fortunately, I do. Not perfectly, but I know enough to know what this means. Some people say, well, there's no definite article before the theos there, which is always with the Almighty God. So that's talking about a God. Well, actually, in Greek grammar, when you have ein there, or different linking verbs, the one that has the definite article before it is the first noun, and then it's the subject noun. And then the one that doesn't is the predicate nominative or the predicate adjective, depending on the word. So theos is not a god; it's still God, but it doesn't have the definite article because it's identifying which one is the predicate nominative. So, how does this prove the incarnate? I just want to show you verse 3 also. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. The Word made all things. Now, drop down to verse 14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. If you want to play this game of, well, this verse doesn't mean that because how could Jesus know the day or hour? If you're just going to... So this is begging the question. This is assuming that if I answer the incarnation, you might say, well, the incarnation never happened. First of all, I just proved it right now through Scripture. But second, you're going to reject it automatically and then say that's not an answer because you reject it. That's begging the question. All right, so let's move on. I'm done preaching here.
That passage,
No,
Jesus is
according to
called
your
my
Bible,
Lord and my
does
God.
Jesus know the day of judgment?
No, you're going to a different passage. We're happy to deal with passages, but
So like, here's what I would, if you want to go to another verse, I'll stick with this verse. We can just keep throwing the verses back at each other until time runs out. You can keep going to Matthew 24:36. I'll keep going to John 20:28. My Lord and my God. We'll keep doing that. That's what I would. I would be fine with that. I mean, clearly these guys didn't come here for a debate. They came here for a circus show. So, all right. I'll just keep quoting the same verse to you until you stop with this nonsense. That's what I would do.
Every time. No. Yeah,
I'm
but you're
asking
changing.
you.
You're
Can you answer
changing. No, I'm not, because you're changing the subject. If you want to if you want to deal with this topic and then go on, that's fine.
Because you interrupted.
No,
so now based on your interruption,
you keep quoting a verse when we just keep reading, and then you say don't keep reading.
You just said Jesus.
That's
is
the
God.
definition of ripping things out of context. No,
Is
I said
Jesus God?
I said the passage you quoted calls Jesus my Lord and my God. You brought that passage up. It does.
It doesn't.
Not the one that we brought
You
up.
want me to read it again? You want me to read it
We're
again?
talking about the one that we
Read.
All right, let's
I'm
break it
speaking.
into. I
Go
do
ahead and
want to break
read.
it into.
No,
I do
I'm
want to break
speaking.
it
Let me
into.
finish.
Break it into maybe 60-minute intervals or not
60 minutes. Okay, I'll take the first one. I'll take the
No,
first
no,
one,
let me
James.
finish first.
No,
I'm
wait.
making a point.
I just wanted to. Oh yeah, go ahead. You make a point.
So
He's going to make a point, and then I want to address the previous point.
John 20:17, Jesus said unto her, touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. So if we have to go with the context of this verse, check clearly the words he used. But go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. Now,
Islamic.
if you base on this logic of this verse, it clearly shows that Jesus is not claiming to be the begotten Son of God, which means they can also be the same God can be their Father.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That verse doesn't say anything about not being the begotten Son of God. That doesn't clearly show you. That's you eisegeting it into the passage, first of all. But second, if I do go to the context, you would just say, oh, that's just nonsense, because the Quran is the criterion. So this verse is true, but this one isn't.
And therefore, so it's just a figment of speech. It doesn't necessarily mean he is the Son of God, as you guys are claiming. But bear in mind, your book, the Gospels you are using, is the Gospels according to St. Luke, St. Matthew, and John. These are people's opinion mixed up with the words of Jesus.
And you keep quoting them. All right, let me go and answer that. So if you kept reading in the same passage, that's where you have just verse 28, just a few verses after what you quoted. Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. Jesus told them, because you have seen me, you have believed. He counts this as belief, calling him my Lord and my God. But I did want to address this, and it might be a few more seconds, but you guys can respond. There is this massive misunderstanding about Son of God. In the Bible, God is Father, and people can be sons of God in different senses. I'll go ahead and clarify them for you so you understand. Human beings in general are called children of God or offspring of God in a similar sense to what you guys were talking about earlier in the previous debate, where we all come from God. So human beings in general can be called children of God. That's Acts chapter 17. And so in that sense, we can all be, you guys are sons of God. Second, spirit beings are called sons.
I don't know why he's laughing, because words can be used in different senses. That's just an objective fact. You can deny it all you want, but I can give you counterexample after counterexample after counterexample. Just a fact. Maybe it's an offensive fact to you, but it's a fact. I like to say facts don't care about your feelings. That's also another hard fact.
Of God. This is in Job 1. Angels are called sons of God. Third, the nation of Israel is called God's son because God produces the nation, so he's the father of the nation. Fourth, the reigning Davidic king, so King David and those who were king after him, his descendants, they were called sons of God because they were put on the throne by God and they were to rule under God's authority as God's representative. Shoaib, you quoted Matthew 5 earlier, and there you have that we can be called sons of God. Here it's people who sort of reflect God's nature will be called sons of God. It's a different sense. The idea is that we have a kind of family resemblance to God when we're serving God. So you have different senses in which God is a father. You have different senses in which we are the sons of God. What we're pointing out is there is a son who is the son of God in a very special sense, similar to what Avery was pointing out earlier with the parable of the vineyard, where prophets come along, but then finally the son comes and he's the one who inherits everything and has authority over everything. And then we're pointing out that in John chapter 5, which you quoted, if you read, Jesus isn't saying, "Hey, I'm the son of God," in just in the sense that other people are the sons of God. He's saying that he's the son that you have. You can't honor the father unless you honor the son by treating him the same way you treat the father. This is where Jesus claims that he is going to raise the dead at the resurrection. This is where he claims that he's the final judge. So he's claiming to be in a special sense. So you can't say, "Well, Jesus is the son of God. There's other sons of God. Therefore, it's all the same sense." It's not. The Bible's clear on this. This is not difficult.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. How much time is left of this? All right. If you want me to, I could do a part 2. We're gonna do this one last thing. We're gonna listen to the response, and then I'll give my final thoughts, and then we're done. If you want me to do a part 2, let me know. I'll be happy to do that. I know the Joe Ventilacion versus James White debate, I didn't actually finish because there were 2 more cross-examination periods. So if you want me to do a short video of that, I can also do that. But if you want me to do a part 2 of this, be glad to do it. Maybe glad. I don't know. This is kind of hard to listen to. I'm passionate about this. It makes me angry when people act like the Muslims here. But anyway. We're going to listen to this last response, and then that's it. Because I also want to go to bed. I don't want to be here all night.
So yeah, when you're talking about like the definition of what a son of God is in the Bible, you can see that it's inconsistent. So there are different in your ways of interpretation what a son of God is. Now, look, if you want to refer to people as the children of God, in that sense where there is no direct begetting, that's on your curriculum. This is what God has revealed to you. God has told us that it's better to not say these kind of things because it can lead to these inconsistencies that you're finding in your book, in a point where people are saying, well, no, he's actually the son of God, where that's the mother of God. So this is where these issues arise from people not understanding what maybe even let's hypothetically, because I don't know, neither do you. Hypothetically, let's say that Jesus did refer to his Lord as the Father. Maybe that was for him in the sense that he understood it, but he's not calling him his begotten dad. I don't believe that he said that, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for saying that. But you are causing transgression when you want to humanify, like make God as if he came into a human form. That's the only thing that the Quran is telling you. We're not. And when you're quoting Bible verses, we're quoting the verses that we understand that would attract you to what we're telling you as if the truth from God. We're not debating you to break your beat your dance. We're debating you so that we could free God and his messengers of the lies that are being said. Not by you, by the people who came before you, which you keep constantly repeating. So you guys can laugh as much as you want. But on the day of judgment, God is going to say, 5:30, didn't Jesus say that he's a submitter? Yes. Okay, end the story. You can't be like, oh, well, keep reading God. No, he's a submitter. He submitted his will to God. That's what your verses say. But you're debating which God did he submit to. That's not the point of the debate. Because there's only one God. Your God and my God is one God.
Wow. So
okay, that's it. All right, where's this left off? All right, if I will come back to this if you guys want me to continue the debate, reacting to this. But we're done for now. I'm going to respond to this because there's some things. First of all, these guys were laughing too, so I don't know why he's accusing, oh, why are you guys laughing? Surah 65:4 support promotes child marriage. I'm not going to accept any explanations because you don't get to go any further. You don't get to go any further back. I'm just going to leave it at that verse. Allah refers to himself as we. I'm not going to let you explain it because it clearly says we. In fact, I'm not 100% sure if any other times where the Quran uses the word we for like a people group, but if it does, you just buried yourself because you said that the Bible's inconsistent in using the term son. First of all, using a word differently doesn't mean I'm inconsistent in using it. All right? The word one. Now, this is an important topic. Deuteronomy 6:4. The Lord our God is one, you see? So there's no Trinity. Well, there's different senses in which you can say something is one. You can say I'm one in number. I am one human right here. I am one person refuting you. However, in Deuteronomy 6:4, the Hebrew word is echad. Now, watch this. Watch this. This is really cool. I'm not saying this is what this verse absolutely means, but this is very interesting. Genesis, I think it's 2:17. I'm going to try to read it directly because I want to quote it. Oh, no, it's 2:24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife. So we got the man and his wife. Now watch this. And they shall become echad, one flesh. Okay? So, words can be used in different ways. You can say one and only one. There's only one. You can say that there's one in a unity. So, like, maybe you could have a team of three. Which that's not the exact same thing as the Trinity, but I'm just giving an example. There's different senses in which words can be used. It's not inconsistency. It's just words have different meanings. In Greek, a word may not mean the same exact thing every time. You have the word pistis. Sometimes it means confidence. Sometimes it just means faith or trust. It's used in different senses. It's not just one definition. The conjunction Allah, which we read earlier, it means but, yet, or rather. The term kai, and or also. Depending on the grammar, it would either be and or also. Words can be used in different senses. That's just a fact of life. It's not inconsistency in the word. It's just how language works. In Arabic, I'm sure there's words that are used in different senses. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the word salah for prayer can also mean blessings. So when Allah has salah for Muhammad, is he praying to Muhammad or is it blessings to Muhammad? I'm not sure if that's a word actually means because I don't speak Arabic. But if that's what salah can mean, then is the Quran now inconsistent in its wording? I don't think so, but according to your standard, it is. So, even if you're a Muslim here, I have to admit that these guys, they should never have accepted this debate. That was a horrible idea. If you know anything of what's being read, John 5, it's just a hammer chapter in showing Jesus' divinity. Here's the thing. This is my advice when listening to these debates. Have the texts that they're using open if you have them available. I have my Bible here, so I can follow what they're saying unless I have it from memory, which not all of it. I'm not a walking encyclopedia. I have some things from memory by the grace of God, but not all of it. So I have my Bible here so I can follow what's happening, and since I follow what's happening, I can clearly see that verses prior to verse 30 refer to Jesus referring to himself as God, but they want to reject that because they have a assumption that the Quran is true, therefore everything else is false in the Bible except in that passage except verse 30. That just doesn't work. This is a classic example of pride cometh before fall. These Muslims were prideful and they fell hard. They crashed on cement from a far distance. They were on a horse on the top of a building, and maybe that's a little harsh, but They were a pretty high distance up, and they fell and crashed. All right. So I want to leave you with this lesson here. Avoid pride because it's dangerous. It's dangerous intellectually. It makes you stupid. It makes you really stupid. If you have pride, you're gonna eventually you're gonna be made to expose as the fool you are, and you're gonna be embarrassed publicly if you keep doing debates like that. And pride can lead to something else. You might think, oh, I'm really great at this bench press thing. I'll keep increasing the weight. I don't need a spotter. Next thing you know, you're crushed under the bar. Pride can not only affect you intellectually, but it can harm you physically. Pride is a dangerous thing. I'm going to leave you with this last phrase, and then I'll let you ponder it. Think upon it. Meditate on it. Not like a spiritual meditation. I mean, like, think about it. Pride will lead to your downfall.